Namo Buddhaya and welcome everybody to today's class. This is Fundamentals of Abhidhamma and this is week 5 and today's session is Sutta class that would be conducted by Vaishali Gaidhani and analysis would be done by Bhante Kusala. So for today's class, I wanted to request Bhante to please start the session with Namo Tassa and give us the Ratana Sutta. Please go ahead, Bhante.
Yeah. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Aneka jati sansarang sandavisa anivisa gahagarang govisando dukkha jati puna puna kagaraka dithosi puna gihana gahesi sabate pasuga peka gahagudan visinghara gadan chaidan dananang khayamijaga Aneka jati sansarang sandavisa anivisa Kahagarang govisando dukkha jati puna puna Kagaraka dithosi puna gihana gahesi Sabate pasuga peka gahagudan visinghara gadan chaidan dananang khayamijaga Aneka jati sansarang sandavisa anivisa Kahagarang govisando dukkha jati puna puna Kagaraka dithosi puna gihana gahesi Sabate pasuga peka gahagudan visinghara gadan chaidan dananang khayamijaga Avijja Visya Singhara Vijja Vijnana Vijja Namarupa Vijja Salayirana Vijja Bhasa Vijja Virana Vijja Dana Vijja Ubadana Vijja Bhava Vijja Jadi Vijaya Jramrana Soga Videva Duga Domina Subaya Sambundi Ewa Medasa Givlaza Duga Kanasa Sumudiyo Hodi Awijaya Deva Aziza Viraga Nirora Singhara Nirora Vinyana Nirora Namarupa Nirora Salayana Nirora Pasa Nirora Vedana Nirora Dana Nirora Ubarana Nirora Bhava Nirora Jadi Nirora Jramrana Stoga Bridewa Doga Domina Supaya Sa Niro Jandi Ewa Meda Zagula Zaduga Ganaza Niro Hodi Jarawe Badu Boni Dhamma Adabino Jaido Bhimna Sata Zaginga Wabayandi Savaya Dobajana Disahidu Dhamma Jarawe Badu Boni Dhamma Adabino Jaido Bhimna Sata Zaginga Wabayandi Sava Yado Khayam Bijana Awidi Jarawe Badu Boni Dhamma Adabino Jaido Bhimna Sava We do bayan did the Marasena Suriova Oba Saya Mandalay Kandi Edu Bijayo Aramana Bijayo Adibri Bijayo Nandara Bijayo Samanandara Bijayo Sajada Bijayo Inyaminya Bijayo Nisya Bijayo Uba Nisya Bijayo Purejada Bijayo Bijajada Bijayo Aziwana Bijayo Kama Bijayo Vibanga Bijayo Ara Bijayo Indriya Bijayo Zana Bijayo Manga Bijayo Sambyuda Bijayo Vibhyuda Bijayo Adi Bijayo Nati Bijayo Vigra Bijayo Avigda Bijayo Di Jano Bodhiya Mulita Jananani Vidano Iwami Wazio Hotuya Dusya Mingli Abrazida Balingati, the Puru Bogale, Bidi, Sababudana, Ega, Bato, Modendi. Sunegada Sumingala, Subabada, Sodida, Sugano, Sumo, Rosa, Swedam, Brahmasariso. Bregina Gayagama Watsa, Gama, Bregina, Bregina, Nogama, Beniti, Bregini. Bregina Nigadovana, Lavanda, de Bregini. Ti Atala, da Sugida, we don't have Buddha Sazani. Aroga Sugida, Hoda Sazabe, Yadibi. Yanida Buddhani Samagrani, Bumani Wayani Wandelege, Stabiwa Buddha Sumana, Bunda, Dobi Savita, Sunano, Basida. Yazamai Burani Samira Savi Midangroda Manusia Bazaya Diwazara Doza Randi Blinda Sumai Niragada Pamada Yangi Wina Idawa Uran Wazagizwa Yaradina Benida Nano Zamarida Dagrina Idami Pode Ratanam Benida Idina Sijina Sudi Odo Kaya Viraga Meda Benida Yadizaga Sijamudizuma Hido Nadina Damina Sumadi Ganji Dami Dami Radana Benida Edina Sijina Sudi Ondo Yam Buddha Zirabri Una Isu Zimari Manan Dariginya Mau Samarina Dina Samona Vejadi Dami Dami Radana Benida Edina Sijina Sudi Ondo Yebogala Dazam Bazara Sadari Dan Yoga Nihoni de Dagini Asura Savaga Edizudina Mablani Irami Sangha Redanam Benita Edina Sijina Sudi Odo Yeso Bioda Manasa Dalina Nigamino Gormas Hazana Midi Badibada Medan Vigasha Lada Murani Butain Boga Mana Irami Sangha Redanam Benita Edina Sijina Sudi Odo Yadina Kilabra Wazidozia Strobi Wadi Azamagambi or the Dubama Sabris and Rami Yoria Sijania Awasa Pasadi Edami Sangi Redena Banida Edena Sijina Zuli Odu Iria Sijani Wibawani Gambira Binina Zudezidani against the video Unibus Zamadana Devon Adama Mariandi Idambi Sangi Redena Badida Edena Sijina Zudi Odu Sawo Sadazana Sambraya Diazuda Mazida Bundi Sagaya Didi Wizigazit in Satila from Wambira in the Slua Bayaza Wipamoda Sesa Bidanani Ababagado Irami Sangira Nabrida Irena Tisina Zudi or Kesabi Soga Maurodi Babaganga in Awasauda Serasawa Ababazoda Zabrisaraya Ababadari Brazauda Irami Sangira Nabadida Edena Zijina Zudi or Wanabumira Vuzidagi Mana Mazipromas Ningame Darubama Dama Vara Ariza Inibana Gami Brahma Hidaya Idam Vibode Radana Banida Edena Zijina Zudi Odua Rovri Nugraro Varayaro Nudro Damawara Adiza Idam B Sangi Bode Radana Banida Edena Zijina Zudi Odua Kina Buddha Nandavana Dizamo Vidazida Yadiva Semidegina Bija Vironi Sanane Vanidida Yatayam Vivo Idambi Sangira Dena Benida Edena Sijina Zodi Odu Yani Dabrani Zamagrani Bomaniwa Yani Wandelege Tatagrani Wamnuza Pujida Buddha Namaza Mazodi Odu Yani Dabrani Zamagrani Bomaniwa Yani Wandelege Tatagrani Wamnuza Pujida Dhamma Namaza Mazodi Odu Yani Dabrani Zamagrani Bomaniwa Yani Wandelege Tatagrani Wamnuza Pujida Sangha Namaza Mazodi Odu Itipiso Bhagavarahan Samazambuddha Vajajrana Sambhano Sugadologa Vidu Anudara Purisa Dhamma Saradi Sathadi Vamanosanam Buddha Bhagava Swagado Vadada Mosani Diva Galigo Ebasigo Obanigo Pisadan Uridavo Venui Superdimano Vado Savagazango Zobrimano Vado Savagazango Yaya Pipano Vado Savagazango Sabisi Pipano Vado Savagazango Yedi Dan Jadari Purisa Yuani Ada Purisa Bogla Isa Vado Savagazango Aunio Paunio Teginio Ingelingrinio Notaram Punya Gitan Logasa Ewan Bodan Srandana Damasangisa Bigo Bayan was Amida Danwa Loma Hanso Nahizri Yanduni Medan one mingling Jayo Jamna Mozugunaza Saro Bambe Goduzuvina Agana Buddha Nuba Wina Wina Zaminu Damanuba Wina Wina Zaminu Sangha Nuba Wina Wina Zaminu Bawadu Zaba Mingla Rakanu Zaba Dewada Saba Buddha Nuba Wina Zaba Damanuba Wina Zaba Sangha Nuba Wina Zubi Mundu De Savidio Wiwizandu Sogo rogo winazandu madi bundundra yo sugitiga yugo boa abi wadana sileza nechan oda bechayino chadaro dama wadandu ayu uno sukam balam sadhu sadhu sadhu. Okay, Upasaka.
Thank you very much, Bhante. With that, I will request Vaishali Tai to go ahead with today's class. That is week 5 and the Sutta session today.
Thank you, Pankaj. So welcome everyone to today's session. This is week 5, July 12th in the USA and July 13th in Asia. So today we are going to study the Sutta, Samaññaphala Sutta. So the Samaññaphala Sutta is from the Digha Nikaya, the long discourses. Last week we did the first sutta in the Digha Nikaya, that is the Brahmajala Sutta. The second sutta is the Samaññaphala Sutta, the discourse on the result of monk life. So the place in the sutta is in the place of this sutta in the Tipitaka is Tipitaka in the Sutta Pitaka, Digha Nikaya. The first is the Sila Khandavagga Pali. It has 13 suttas in it, and Samaññaphala Sutta is the second in the Digha Nikaya. So basically, Samana. From the Anguttara Nikaya, we have the meaning of Samana here. Eki Bhavaya. Samana also meaning unity, conformity. And we will see further how the meaning of this word Samana is developed. From the Dhammapada, we have Samacharya Samanoti Uchati. Because a bhikkhu lives calmly, he is called a Samana. Because he gets rid of his impurities, he is called a Pabajita. Again, Yocha Sameti Papani Anu Thulani Sabbaso Samattitahi Papanam Samanoti Pavuchati. He who has totally subdued all evil, great and small, is called a Samana, because he has overcome all evil. In the Samaññaphala Sutta, the first section is the Raja Machaka, the stories about the king's ministers. So again, like every sutta, begins with Evang Me Sutang. So here also, we have Evang Me Sutang, Samayang, Ekam Samayang Bhagva Rajagaha Viharati Jivakassa Kumarabhacha Ambavani Mahata Bhikkhu Sanghena Saddhin Ardha Tera Sehi Bhikkhu Satehi. So this time is the full moon night, the month of Kartik. And the place is Jivaka's Ambavani. Ambavani is the mangrove. And to whom is the Buddha speaking here? To the Bhikkhu Sanghena, a very large gathering of the Bhikkhu Sanghena. 1250 bhikkhus. And basically this sutta is given to King Ajatasattu. Jivaka is also there, and there are 500 female attendants of the king. In this section of the sutta is the first section. Here, the king is sitting with his ministers at night, and he sees that the night is very beautiful. Ramaniya Vatabho Dosina Rati. And he says at this time, his mind is like he's sitting there at night, and his mind is very calm. He feels like visiting a monk, someone who would please his heart, talking to a person. So he is asking his ministers, who should we talk to? And they suggest, his ministers, they suggest some 6 teachers who during that time, who are like the different schools of thoughts. 1, Purana Kassapo. 2, Makkali Gosalo. 3, Ajito Kesakambalo. 4, Pakudo Kachayano. 5, Sanchayo Belattiputo. 6, Nigantu Nataputto. So these are all 6 very famous teachers at that time, and they are head of their own schools, their gana, their own groups. So when all these ministers are suggesting the king about these teachers, the king is silent. He does not say anything. And then the king asks Jivaka, Sama Jivaka, King Tunhi, why are you quiet? Why are you silent? Jivaka, dear Jivaka. So Jivaka says, suggesting the king about Samma Sambuddho, Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho, Amhakam Ambavane Viharati, Mahata Bhikkhu Sanghena Saddhin, Ardha Tera Sehi Bhikkhu Satehi. So Jivaka is telling the king that the Lord, Tathagata, is residing with many bhikkhus at his mangrove. So the king suggests, okay, let us visit the Buddha. So in this month, Komudi being the full moon day of Kartik, with 500 female elephants, 500 female attendants, King Ajatasattu sets out to Rajgaha to approach the Buddha at the Jivaka's mangrove. There are 1250 bhikkhus in the pavilion, and it's all very silent. It is at night time. It's so silent that the king is afraid, and he says, not even a sound of cough or sneeze. Why is there so much silence? Jivaka says, Ma Bhai Maharaja. He says, do not be afraid. Great king, do not be afraid. I do not deceive you, nor give you to the enemy. Abhikampa Maharaja. Please proceed. Please go ahead, Maharaja. Ete Mandal Male Deepa Jayanti. In the pavilion are lamps lighted. So please proceed in that direction. So as the king enters the pavilion, he's looking for the Buddha. Where is the Buddha? Jivaka says the Buddha is seated in the support of the middle pillar, just facing in front of the Bhikkhu Sangha. Amazed by the serene, calm environment, he thinks such a calm environment will surely benefit his son Udayabhaya. He's thinking about his son. And he says to the Buddha that Prince Udayabhaya is very dear to me. May he enjoy the same peace that this community of monks now enjoys. And then bowing down to the Blessed One and saluting the community of monks with his hands, palm to palm over his heart. That is the Anjali position, Anjali Karniya position. He bows to the king, salutes the community, the Bhikkhu Sangha, and then speaks to the Buddha about and then sits on one side. And later asks the Buddha about the result of monk life, visible here and now. Sakkanukho bhante evameva ditteva dhamme sandikthikam Samaññaphala Sutta. The Buddha says, have you asked this question to anyone else before? To any other person? Maharaj, imam panyang panye samman brahmane uchita. So the king says, yes, I have asked this question to others. So if it is not inconvenient to you, may I tell you what the others have said? And the Buddha says yes. So the 6 teachers. So the king talks about these 6 teachers. First, the Puranakasapo. So this is the Samaññaphala Pucha, the king's question. When he visits Puranakasapo, when he has already visited him earlier, the king asked about the result of monk life to Puranakasapo. The king says that there are craftsmen, common craftsmen are there, like different people working in different area, the goldsmith, the carpenter, the potter, and so on. There are different people, there are householders doing different kinds of job, that is what he means to say. And they give happiness and pleasure to their own self, to their relatives, their parents, wives, children, their friends, colleagues. And they put in place an excellent presentation of offerings to monks. They do dhan to monks, leading to heaven, resulting in happiness, conducive to a heavenly rebirth. Is it possible, Bhante, to point out a similar result of monk life, visible in the here and now? Here it would mean, Venerable Sir. So usually all these teachers, they are referred to as Samana. So is it possible to see the results of monk life in right here now? Sakkanukho bhante evameva ditteva dhamme sandikthikam Samaññaphala Sutta. So when the king asked this question to Puranakasapo, so he answers the king. Puranakasapo answers the king. Here it is written, answered with non-action. Akiryavad. We will see what this Akiryavad is in the future slide. So after the king listens to the answer, neither delighting nor protesting, I was dissatisfied. Without expressing dissatisfaction, without accepting his teaching, without adopting it, I got up from my seat and left. How can I say anything to a person of such a high stature, was the king's interpret. He thought, how can I say anything to him? But the king was not satisfied with the answer, and without saying anything, he left. So what is the Puranakasapo Vada? What is the teaching? What did he teach? Basically, so no seal, no kusala vipak of punya karma. So that is the teaching. So who is Purannakasapu in the first place? Tatha Puranoti Tassa Satu Patinyasa Namam Kastapoti Gotam. This is Purannakasapu has got his name like a teacher. He got this Puranoti. Kastapoti is his Gotra. If one does or gets others to do Panatipata, Adinnadana, one does no evil, no coming of evil. Musa Bhanato, Karoto na Kariyati Papakam. So one does not do any evil. Na Kariyati Papam. Through generosity, self-control, restraint, truthful speech, there is no merit from that cause. No coming of merit from that. Danena, Damena, Sanyamena, Satchavajjena, Nati Punyam, Nati Punya se Agamu. No punya comes, no merit of good actions. So this is the vada, akiriyavad or non-action. The second teacher that the king visits, again, he visits and asks the same question to this teacher, Makkali Gosalo. So, Ethapana Makkaliti Tassanama, Gosaliya Jatata, Gosali Dutiyam Namam. So, one name is Makkali and the other name is Gosal. Ahetu apachaya satta sankirli se santi, ahetu apachaya satta visujhanti. There is no cause for the defilement of beings. Beings are defiled without any cause. There is no cause for the purification of beings. Beings are purified without cause. So there is no cause, no morality, no cause, no result, no human effort. If human beings are doing some effort, they are putting in their efforts with zeal, energy, there is no result. There is nothing called human effort. Sabbe satta, sabbe pana, sabbe bhuta, sabbe jiva, avasa, abala, avidi. There is no strength, no effort, no human energy. All living beings, all life, all beings, all souls are powerless, devoid of strength, devoid of effort. So that is the philosophy of Makkali Gosala. And further, what does Makkali Gosala says? There is no difference between Balo and Pandito. Not possible to change our past karma. That it is impossible to eliminate ripened karma through the practice of morality. Now, how is that? How do beings live in samsara? So this purification through wandering in samsara or sansara suddhi or ahetuka vada that he says is just like a ball of string when thrown comes to its end simply by unwinding. It just goes on unwinding and unwinding, and finally the ball ends in that single thread. In the same way, having migrated and wandered on, the wise and the foolish alike will put an end to pain. That human beings are powerless. So Seya Thapi Nama Sutta Gure Khitte Nibbetiya Vanave Paleti Evameva Balecha Panditacha Sandhavitva Sansaritva Dukkha Santang Karissanti. So that's how human beings or beings end their suffering in the world, in samsara, just by going in it without any reason, just by traveling in it. Yeah. So that's how human beings are powerless and they have to go through the sufferings in samsara. That is his philosophy, Makkali Gosala. Then the third teacher that the king visits. So again, when the king visits the second teacher too, the same thing, he's not satisfied with the answer. And then he just bows down and leaves the place. And this is the third teacher, Ajito Kesa Kambalu, that the king is visiting. So his philosophy is Nathikavada, annihilation, or it is also called as Uchchedavada, according to Brahmajala Sutta. So Ajitoti Tassanamam Kesa Kambalang Dharetiti Kesa Kambalu. So he's something kind of a, kambal is kind of a, a blanket kind of thing that he's wearing, which is made up of hair. Iti namadvayam sansanditva ajito kesa kambaloti uchati. So what is this philosophy? There are the 10 kinds of Natthika philosophy, 10 types. Natthika sukha dukkhatanam, kammanam phalam vipako, Nathi ayang loko, Nathi paro loko, Nathi mata, Nathi pita, Nathi satta, upapatika, Nathi loke samana brahmana, samaggata, samma patipanna. So these are the 10 things, that there is no mother, no father, no this world, no other world, and so on and so on. No samana, nathi loke samana brahmana, even that is included. Even so, there is nothing given, nothing offered, nothing sacrificed. That means no dana, no sacrifice. There is no fruit or result of good or bad actions. So there is no phala, there is no merit, there is no result of good and neither of bad actions. There is no this world, no next world, no mother, no father, no spontaneously reborn beings, no priests, no contemplators who faring rightly and practicing rightly. So there is no one like this. There is no meaning, in fact. That is what he says. So Ajita Kesa Kambalo, this Nathikvad or the annihilation philosophy or his vada, his theory is Chatu Mahabhutiko Ayang Puriso. So there are 4 primary elements that a person is composed of. It is at death, the earth of the body returns to and merges with the external earth substance. So earth, water, that is liquid, earth, fire, liquid, and wind. These are the 4 things. The fire returns to and merges with the external fire substance after death. Liquid returns and merges into the external liquid. Wind, again, merges into the wind substance. And the sense faculties scatter into space. With the breakup of the body, the wise and the foolish alike are annihilated, destroyed. They do not exist after death. Balecha pandite cha, wise and foolish. Kayasya bheda uchhijanti vinasanti na hoti parang marana. So there is nothing after death that exists. So again, the king, being unsatisfied, he visits another teacher, Pakudho Kachayana, and he relates what is happening when he asks the same question of the fruits or the result of a monk life. So Pakudho Kachayana, he speaks about non-relatedness, ayena ayang, or sasadvad, eternalism. Pakudhavati tassa nama Kachayanoti Gotama. So his gotra is Kachayana and his name is Pakudha. Iti nama Gotam Sansaditva Pakudo Kachayanoti Uchiti. So that's how he's named as Kachayana together. His name and his gotra. These 7 substances. Now his philosophy. He says there are 7 substances that a person is made up of. What are these 7 substances? Earth, liquid, fire, wind, pleasure, pain, and soul. So Pakudho Kachayana believes in soul. And he says all these are unmade, irreducible, uncreated, without a creator, barren, stable as a mountain peak, standing firm like a pillar. Do not change, do not interfere with one another. Are incapable of causing one pleasure, pain, or both pleasure and pain. So a person consisting of these 7 things, and these 7 things do not interact with each other. They are independent entities. And there is all these 7 things are incapable. It is not possible for them to cause pleasure, pain, or both pleasure and pain. So what happens if when cuts off a person's head, or if there is one taking another person's life? He says it is simply between these 7 substances that the sword passes. So there is no killer, there is no one who's actually causing killing. It is just the sword, and this sword is being passed into these 7 separate entities. So that means na kochi kinching jivita voropeti. So that means there is no killer nor one who is causing to kill. So he believes in the soul. That is the eternalism. Everything, all of these 7 things are independent and they are eternal. So this is his philosophy. Again, the king, after listening to him, is not particularly satisfied with his answer, and he gets up and leaves without saying anything. So that's the Sasaddithi, the Brahmajala Sutta. Okay. Then we have the 5th teacher, Niganto Nataputto, also called as Aggivasena in the Sutta. So the philosophy of Nigantanath Putto is the same. I mean, Jainism in today's context is referred to as the Nigantanath Putto in the Buddhist texts. It is said to be Nigantanath Putto. So here again, Natasya Putto is Nataputto. And Nigantu means without any kilesa, grantha. So kilesa, gantha rahita is Niganto. So that is why his name is Niganto Nataputto. There is a case where the Nigantha, meaning being the knotless one, or grantha rahita, gantha rahita, is restraint with the 4-fold restraint. Niganto sabbavari vari tocha hoti, sabbavari uttocha hoti, sabbavari dhutocha hoti, sabbavari futota. This is a case where the Niganta is obstructed by all waters, conjoined with all waters, cleansed with all waters, suffused with all waters. This is how the Niganta is restrained with a 4-fold restraint. When the Niganta, a knotless one, is restrained with such 4-fold restraint, he is said to be the Niganta, or the knotless one, the son of the Nata, and his self-perfected, self-controlled, and self-established. Gatatayo, gatato, chayatato, chathitato cha. So that is, he is self-perfected, controlled, and established. So the Nigantanath Putto is said to be in the Anekantavada as per the Brahmajala Sutta, the doctrine of Anekantavada, many-sided reality. Because basically the belief that anything, any truth, it is not possible to express it in any language, not completely possible to express in a language. And therefore there are multiple ways to express one particular truth. So that is the philosophy. So many pointedness, multiple perspectives, teachings are a doctrine about the nature of reality and human existence. Truth and reality are complex and have a number of aspects. Spiritual truths are so complex with multiple aspects, and language cannot express their plurality. However, they can be experienced through effort and appropriate karma, that the philosophy of the Jains. Then we have the 6th teacher, Sanchayo Belatthaputto. So the philosophy of evasion, or Ajnanvad, or Amara Vikhepavad, according to the Brahmajala Sutta. So his name is Sanchaya, and he's the son of Belatha. So that's why his name is Sanjaya Belatthaputto. Athi paro lokoti iti che mang puchasi. Atti paro lokoti ti che me asa. Atti paro lokoti ti te mang. If there exists another world after that, if I thought that there exists another world, I would declare that to you. I don't think so. I don't think in that way. I don't think otherwise. I don't think not. I don't think that this is true or that is true. So there is, one cannot understand the view. It is, this is also right and the other thing is also right. And whether any such question is put about world, like in this case, but if any other question is put about kammaphala, the fruits, again, it is the same kind of question. Whether the Tathagata exists after death, okay, the same answer, where yes, no, or neither yes, neither no. So agnosticism is the view that the existence of God, of the divine, of the supernatural is unknown or unknowable. Another definition provided is the view that human reason is incapable of providing sufficient rational grounds to justify either the belief that God exists or the belief that God does not exist. So the view of Sanchaya Belatiputo is that one human knowledge or human reasoning is incapable to decide decide a definite answer to any of such questions. So this is the Amara Vikipaditi as per the Brahmajala Sutta. The Ditti, like to be on the safe side, that is to make one sit on the fence, to be on the safe side to answer when one does not want to admit about not knowing the answer to a question put forth. So we have already discussed this in the Brahmajala Sutta. So again, the king, he comes back without saying anything. And he still has the question in his mind. What is the result of a monk life? What is the result of a monk life? So the next section in this sutta is Pathama Sandithika Samaññaphala, the first visible fruit of monk life. Buddha answers the question. So Buddha answers this question in a counter question. All other suttas we have seen that in the beginning, the Buddha negates certain things, sets aside certain things when any question or any sutta that the Buddha has to give. In this case, the Buddha is talking to King Ajatasattu, and it is through Ajatasattu himself that the king has negated what is not to be known or to be seen or in a particular way. So King Ajatasattu has set that aside by himself. So here the king is, when asking a question, the Buddha, instead of the Buddha giving him the answer, the king himself has cleared his doubts in that place. And then now, when the Buddha is asking answering Ajatasattu's question as a patipucha, as a counter question. So suppose, Buddha says, suppose your workman, your slave, who is arising before you, going to bed only after you, doing whatever you say, whatever you order, and he acts in such a way that he wants to please you. So he sees every day, and he sees even the king earning merits by his generosity to the monks. And he decides, okay, even I want to become a monk. Dons the ochre robe, shaves his head, goes forth from the houseful life to homeless life, aghara, to do meritorious deeds. He lives restrained in body, speech, and mind, content with the simplest food and shelter, and delighting in solitude. So if he goes away, leaves the king, becomes a monk, the Buddha asks Ajatasattu, King Ajatasattu, Are you going to call him back and make him your workman, your slave once again? Ajatasattu says, no, not at all, Venerable Sir. No, no, Hitam. Rather, I'm the one who would bow to him. I should bow to him, rise up out of respect, invite him to seat, invite him to accept gifts of robes, alms, food, lodgings, medicinal requisites for the sick. And I would provide him with safety and protection. So what do you think, great king, that being the case, is there a visible fruit of monk life? Then King Mayasi, Maharaja, yadi evang sante hoti, va sandithikam samaya phalang novati, adha kho bhante. Evam sante hoti, sandithikam samaya phalanti. Yes, bhante. I see, yes, this is the visible fruit of monk life. So this is about the first question. The other question the king asks, is there any other fruit of monk life, Bhante? So this is the next section, that is Dutiya Sandithika Samaya Phalam, the second visible fruit of monk life. Again, the Buddha counter questions Ajatasattu Patipucha, the second time, for the second king's question. The Buddha says, suppose you're a farmer, a householder, a taxpayer who gives you large amounts of taxes. He abandons all of his wealth, large, small, leaves his circle of relatives, and he decides, okay, I want to become a monk. So he dons the ochre robes, kasayavattha, shaves his head, goes forth from the household life to homelessness, and to do meritorious deeds. So that is his intention. He lives restrained in body, mind, speech, content with the simplest food and shelter in solitude. So, oh great king, would you call him back and make him work as before? No hitang bhante, dutiyang dittheva dhamme sandithikang samaya phalang panyatanti. So this is how is the second fruit, result of the monk life. At which the king again asks, is there any other fruit, Bhante? Any other result? Panita rasamaya, panitara samaya phalang, the higher fruits of monk life. That's the next section. Panitara is higher, more purer. Again, the Buddha answers Ajatasattu's third question. So this is actually Patipucha 3. This is 3 Patipucha. I'm sorry about it. It's not 2. Okay. So suppose there is a case, great king, where the Tathagata, the world worthy and rightly self-awakened, Samma Sambuddha, he teaches the Dhamma admirable in the beginning, admirable in its middle, admirable in its end. He proclaims the holy life, both in its particulars and its essence, entirely perfect, surpassingly pure. So, if in a householder or a householder's son, Gahapati or Gahapati Putto, when hearing the Dhamma gains conviction, saddha in the Tathagata, and decides to leave the dusty path and to go in the open air. The dusty path is the householder's life. Rajapatho. Raja means here the dusty path. The dust means the dust of Lobha, Dosa, Moha. Lobha Rajo, Dosa Rajo, Moha Rajo. That is the dusty path. The life gone forth is like the open air. The life of a monk, the life of a bhikkhu is like the open air. Abho akaso. It is not easy living at home to practice the holy life, totally perfect, totally pure, like a polished shell. And now decides to don the ochre robe, kasayavattha, shaves his head, goes forth from household life to homeless. And he lives restrained by the rules of the monastic code, seeing danger in the slightest faults. And he guards his senses, consummate in virtue, possessed of mindfulness and alertness, and is content and is very happy and satisfied in this life. So are you going to So this is here, the Buddha does not question the king. He just says that he is so happy, a householder's son, if he's going forth in the monk life and living like this, he's so happy. So is it not that he is going from the path of dust, Rajo, to an open air, the freedom that he feels? So you say, yes, it is. And then further, the Buddha talks about the sila, beginning with chula sila, how a monk is consummate in virtue, because that is the first thing. In the monastic code, he lives restrained by the rules of the monastic code. So that is the first thing. So the Buddha in detail talking about the chula sila, the majjhim sila, the mahasila. We have seen also in the Brahmajala Sutta how the importance of sila is there. So here in this case, we would just go through the overview of the chula sila. So chula sila means minor morality. The Buddha is talking about these minor morality, which even the Putujana can follow, worldly, a common man who has not attained any magga, a Putujana person also following these minor sila. They again begin with Panatipata Pahaya, Adinnadana Pahaya, Abrahmacharya. So Panatipata Pahaya, Panatipata Pativirato Hoti. Abandons all thoughts of taking life. Adinnadana Pahaya, Adinnadana Pativirato Hoti. Abandon all thoughts of taking what is not given. Abrahmacharyan Pativirato. Abandons all thoughts of unchastely life. Musavadam Pativirato. Abandons all thoughts of telling lies. Pisunaya Vachaya Pativirato. Abandons all thoughts of slandering. Farusa Vachaya Pativirato. Abandons all thoughts of speaking harshly. Samphapalapa Vacha Pativirato. Abandons all thoughts of talking frivolously. So these are the 7 minor morality. Then we saw the other 26 chula sila also, like Bijagama, Bhutagama, some are like does not destroy seeds, Ekabhattiko, taking meals just one time, Nachagita Vadita, Visukadasana, so abstains from entertainment, Malagandha Vilepana, Dharana, Mandana, Vibhusanatana. So ornaments, abstains from putting on ornaments, Uchasayana Sana, and Uchasayana Mahasayana is luxurious beds. Jata Rupa Jata Patiga Gahana is gambling, staying away from such kind of things, and so on and so forth. Then the Buddha is talking about the Majjhima Sila in the next section, the intermediate section of virtue. This is how a monk is consummate in virtue. So the Buddha says, talking about the 10 Majjhima Sila, abstention from destroying of seeds, storing things, watching entertainment, gambling, high luxurious beds, so on and so forth. And then about the 7 Mahasila. So where by wrongful means, like wrongful living by means of low arts. Low arts are said to be fortune telling, reading characteristics of people, making prediction of king and subjects, other predictions like natural phenomenon, weather, arranging marriage, and so on. So this is how a monk is consummate in virtue. The Mahasila, the section on on the greater section on virtue. So just as the Buddha says, just as a head anointed noble warrior king who has defeated his enemies sees no danger anywhere from his enemies. In the same way, the monk, thus following the Sila, sees no danger anywhere from his restraint through virtue. Endowed with his noble aggregate of virtue, he is inwardly sensitive to the pleasure of being blameless. So, anavajjang kammang, blameless kamma, is Sila. This is how a monk is consummate in virtue. That's how he is blameless, and because of this blamelessness, he does not find danger in the world. He is not afraid. So this is how a monk. So the next section after the three Sila, after that, this is how a monk practices Sila and the benefits of the Sila. He lives without danger in this world, free in like a sky, the whole sky, free to move around everywhere. So these are the benefits, the results of a monk life. The next section is Indriya Samvaru, sense restraint. So again, the monk guards the doors of his senses. So what are those senses? The 6 senses. So restraint over the sense faculties of eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and intellect. He is inwardly sensitive to the pleasure of being blameless. And then the next section on Sati Sampajanya. So this is how a monk is possessed of mindfulness and alert. When going forward and returning, he acts with alertness through all the positions, through his charya, the conduct of his body, bending forward, extending limbs, carrying his outer cloak, upper robe, bowl, eating, drinking, chewing, tasting, and walking, standing, everything that a monk does. Remaining silent, he acts with alertness, mindfulness, and alertness. And then content. This is how a monk is content. So the Buddha again gives a simile over here. Just as a bird, wherever it goes, flies with its wings as its only burden, so too is he content with a set of robes to provide for his body and alms food, to provide for his hunger. Wherever he goes, he takes only his bare necessities along. So the monk moves around with only very few things, carries himself light. Sallahukavutti. So this is again another benefit one can see in this world of being a monk or leading a monk life. The next is Nivaranapahanam, abandoning the hindrances. So we know that there are 5 hindrances. So here again, the Buddha explains to Ajatasattu, King Ajatasattu, seeing 5 hindrances abandoned within him, he becomes glad, mind becomes concentrated. So whenever the hindrances are removed, the mind becomes calm and concentrated. So here we see, what are those hindrances? So just as a man would experience joy and happiness when he repays his old debts and there is extra left over for maintaining the family. So whenever a man is full of debts and he's all the time thinking about how to repay the debts, but when he repays all of his old debts and then there is still some money left for maintaining or for living the household, and at that moment, how a man experiences joy and happiness. That is the kind of happiness felt when removing this hindrance of covetousness. abhijja. The other one, the second simile the Buddha gives is he recovers from long sickness, enjoys his meals, gains strength in his body. Just like a person who is for a long, long time into sickness, a very, very hard, difficult to bear sickness. And a person recovers from such long sickness. And then he enjoys his meals, gains strength in his body. So that is the kind of feeling, happiness and joy when the hindrance of ill will and anger is removed, is abandoned. The third simile the Buddha gives is released from prison bondage, safe and sound with no loss of property. Just like a person when he is imprisoned and he's in a bondage kind of, he's not free to move. But when he is released from the prison bondage, safe and sound, and he has not lost any property during that time, the way he feels coming back free to his property. So that is how one feels when sloth and torpor is removed as a hindrance. And the fourth simile is of he is released from a slavery subject to himself, not subject to others, is freed and able to go where he likes. That is from restlessness and anxiety. The fifth one, carrying money and good, traveling out a road through a desolate country, emerges from that country safe and sound without any loss of wealth or property. And that is about uncertainty and doubt. So these are the 5 hindrances. And when a person abandons these hindrances, when in a monk life, a monk abandons these 5 hindrances and becomes glad, enraptured, tranquil, and his mind becomes concentrated, glad and concentrated. So that is how the benefits of becoming a monk are. Another fruit of monk life, visible here and now, and even better than the previous benefits, more sublime are the ones which will follow from here, like the Prathama Jhana, the first jhana, withdrawn from sensual pleasures, withdrawn from unskillful mental qualities. That means all unskillful actions of mind, abhijja and vyapada and michchaditthi, all these unskillful mental qualities. A monk enters and remains in the first jhana with rapture and pleasure. What is the feeling? What is the kind of the experience that the monk has? And the Buddha trying to explain this experience to the king, who is not even an upasaka. So Buddha is explaining to him, just as if a skilled bathman would pour bath powder into a brass basin and knead it together, sprinkling it again and again with water. So that is the kind of feeling, like basking in the powder, the bath powder. That is what it is. Sprinkling it with water, kneading it again and again with water. So that is the feeling that of Prathama Jhana. In the Dutiya Jhana, the simile that the Buddha gives for it's kind of a stilling of directed thought and evaluation enters and remains in the second jhana. So the first jhana we know that it is vitakka vichara piti sukha ekaggata. Second jhana here is piti sukha ekaggata. The sutta refers to the second jhana as piti sukha ekaggata. So one pointedness of awareness free from directed thought. Explaining this in a simile is just like a lake with spring water welling up from within, having no inflow from east, west, north, or south. That means there is no incoming water in the well, in the lake, and the water is coming from within. And with the skies supplying abundant showers time and again, So the cool fountain of water welling up from within the lake would permeate and suffuse and fill it with cool waters. So that is the feeling of, that is the simile of the second jhan. The simile of the third jhan would be Sukha Ekagata. Furthermore, with the feeling of rapture, remains in equanimity, mindfulness, fully aware and physically sensitive of pleasure, enters and remains in the third jhan, and the noble ones declare equanimous and mindful. He has a pleasurable abiding. So just as in a lotus pond, some of the lotuses are in the water, they stay immersed in the water and flourish without standing up out of water. So they are in the water and they are permeated and pervaded, suffused with cool water from their roots to their tips. So that is the feeling of the third jhan, experience of the third jhan in terms of this simile. And the fourth jhan is Upekha Ekagata. So the fourth jhan here is abandoning of pleasure and stress, as with the earlier disappearance of elation and distress. So enters and remains himself in the fourth jhan, purity of equanimity and mindfulness. Now, again, the Buddha is explaining in terms of a simile, as just if a man were sitting covered from head to foot with a white cloth, so that there would be no part of his body to which the white cloth did not extend, even so the monk sits, permeating the body with a pure, bright awareness. So this is the fourth jhan. And from the fourth jhan to the vipassana jnana, insight knowledge. With this mind thus concentrated, purified and bright, unblemished, free from defects, pliant, malleable, steady, and attained to imperturbability, he directs and inclines it to knowledge and vision, just as if there were a beautiful beryl gem of the purest water, eight-faceted, well-polished, clear, limpid, consummate in all its aspects, and going to the middle of it was a blue, yellow, red, white, or brown thread. And a man with good eyesight, taking it in his hand, were to reflect on it thus, that this is so and so, that this is such a beautiful beryl gem, understands it like in this way, the purest water, eight-faceted gem, and well polished, and so on, describing it as it is. That is the vipassana jnana, the insight knowledge that the Buddha explains in this kind of simile. Further, another result of monk life, visible here and now, more excellent than the previous ones and sublime. Manomai iddhi jnana, the mind-made body. With this mind thus concentrated, purified and bright, unblemished, free from defects, pliant, malleable, steady, and attained to imperturbability, he directs and inclines it to creating a mind-made body. From this body, he creates another body, endowed with a form made of the mind, complete in all its parts, not inferior in its faculties, just as if a man were to draw a reed from its sheath. So that means another body, reed, is drawn from a covering kind of sheath, like the same one. So that is the mind-made body, the simile of a mind-made body. Next, the iddhi vidhanyanam, supranormal powers. With this, mind is concentrated, so on, a monk directs and inclines it to the modes of supranormal powers. The simile here is of a skilled potter or his assistant who could craft from a well-prepared clay whatever kind of pottery vessel he likes, as a skilled ivory carver or like a goldsmith, and so on and so forth. So the way that these people are skilled in their art exercises influence with his body even as far as so many worlds. So this is the supranormal power, creating an art. Next, the Dibba Sotanyana, clairaudience, divine ears. Again, when a monk further developing on the path, his mind concentrated, purified, bright, unblemished, free from defects, and so on, he directs it and inclines it to the divine ear element. Hears by means of divine ear, purified and surpassing the human, both kind of sounds, whether the sound is human or divine, whether near or far. So, just like if a man traveling along a highway hears certain sounds, different sounds of kettle drums, of small drums, conches, cymbals, so on, and he can correctly identify, okay, this sound is of the kettle drum, this sound is of the small drum, this sound is of the conch, and so on and so forth, clearly able to understand which sound it is. So that is the simile. And all these are the results of a monk life, developing on the path. Next is the Chetoparichanyana or Chetoparianyana, the mind reading. When the monk's mind does concentrate, purified and right, directs his mind and inclines it to the knowledge of awareness of other beings. He knows the awareness of other beings, other individuals, having encompassed it with his own awareness. He discerns a mind with passion. That is, he understands, knows the mind is with passion, as a mind is with passion, and a mind without passion as a mind without passion. Similarly, he discerns a mind with delusion as a mind with delusion, and a mind without delusion as a mind without delusion. Similarly, he discerns a mind with aversion. Aversion is lobe, like passion is lobe, aversion is dosa, and delusion is moha. So a chitta with dosa, he understands, oh, this chitta is with dosa. And the chitta without dosa, he understands, yes, this chitta is without dosa. Just as if a young woman or man fond of ornaments, examining the reflection of her own face in a bright mirror or a ball of clear water, would know blemished if it were blemished, or unblemished if it were not blemished. So knowing as it is, if a mind is with passion, knowing it that it is with passion, with lobha. So, and if the mind is not with lobha, knowing that the mind is not with lobha. So this is the kind of simile that the Buddha has given as showing the result of a monk life to a person who has not, leave alone attaining all of this, he doesn't even know about being an upasaka of the Buddha. The next thing the Buddha talks about is Pubbe Nivasanusati, recollection of the past lives. So when a bhikkhu, his mind thus concentrated, purified and right, and so on, he directs and inclines it to knowledge of the recollection of the past, that is previous homes, Pubbe, earlier, Nivas, residence. So earlier residences. Anusati is recollection. So that is one birth. This was my one birth. This is my second. This was my second. Before this, many eons, until many eons, many births, hundreds, thousands, and so many eons of birth. And this is how the world had collapsed and then expanded, the cosmic contraction and expansion. He understands all of this. He recollects. And then he also recollects that this was my name, I belonged to such a gota, such a clan. This was my appearance, and this was my food, and this was the experience of the pleasure, and I was happy, and I was sad, and so did I end my life. This is how I passed away from that life. And this is how I arose in my next life. So, and then I arose in the next life over this place, over this as so and so. And this is how I lived, and this is how my clan was, and this is how my food, and so on and so forth in every life that he lived. So this is the recollection of the past lives. And just as if a man were to go from his home village to another village, so this is the simile the Buddha is giving. Just as a man was going from one village, from his home village to another village, and then from that village to yet another village, and then from that village to and so on so forth, comes back to his home village, and he then knows that yes, I went to that village, I sat, I stood there, I sat, I talked, I was silent, and whatever actions I did there, then I went to another village, and those were the actions. That is how I stood, that is how I sat, I talked, I remained silent, and so on. He remembers in all of the villages that he has been to. And that is the simile that the Buddha gives to King Ajatasattu, explaining the Pubbe Nivasanusati, the recollection of the past lives. Then Dibbachakkhunyanam, the passing away and reappearance of beings. Again here, when the monk's mind is concentrated, purified, bright, so on, and then he focuses, he directs and inclines it to the knowledge of passing away and reappearance of beings, Dibbachakku. He sees by means of the divine eye, purified and surpassing the human beings, discerns how they are inferior and superior, how the beings are born, how they are inferior and superior, beautiful and ugly, fortunate, unfortunate, in accordance to their karma. If they have done a good karma, good conduct of body, speech, and mind, then the noble ones who held right views and undertook actions against the influence of right views. So that's how they were beings. If they did actions in accordance, not in accordance with good conduct of body, speech, and mind, and after the breakup of the body, after death, they appear in those kind of realms. So good action leading to heavenly realm, that is the Devalok, and bad actions leading to the lower realms. So the simile here of just as if were a tall building in the central square of a town. There's a tall building in the center of the town, and a man with a good eyesight is standing on top of it. He can see people entering a house, leaving a house, walking along the street, and sitting in the central square, people gathering there. So he can see all beings from the top. Which person has entered, the person has left, some person sitting together, observing from the top of the tower. So this is the simile of Dibbachakkhunyan the Buddha gives to King Ajatasattu. And just this, as any other, the next fruit or another result of a monk life, visible here and now, more excellent than the previous ones and sublime. Next, the last one for that matter, is the Asavkhayanyan, the ending of all mental fermentations. Here, a monk walking on the path and tirelessly working on the path with efforts, discerns, as it is actually present, that this is stress. This is the origination of the stress. So Asavkhayanyan is obtained in the knowledge of the Four Noble Truths. We have seen in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta that the middle part leads to the knowledge of Four Noble Truths. So this is origination of stress. Stress is a word, one of the words used as for dukkha in English language. However, there is no other word equivalent to the meaning of dukkha in English. So we can use the same word dukkha here too. So this is origin of dukkha. This is dukkha, the first noble truth. Dukkha samudaya, second noble truth. Dukkha nirodha, third noble truth. And dukkha nirodha gamini patipada is the fourth noble truth. And these are mental fermentations. That means these are all defilements. This is the origin of fermentations. This is the cessation. So in the same way, understanding, his heart thus knowing, seeing, released from the fermentation of sensuality, the fermentation of becoming, fermentation of ignorance, sankhara. Release, there is knowledge released. He discerns that birth is ended and holy life fulfilled. The task is done. There is nothing further for this world. Like Bhante had chanted, Aneka Jati Sansaram, the Udana, Buddha Udana, that there is no further life after this. Puna gehang na kahasi, sabbate fasuka bhagga, gah kutang visankitang, gah kara visanka, chittang, tanha nang khaya majjaga, tanha nang khaya majjaga. So the second noble truth of the creation of dukkha or the samudaya, origination of dukkha, tanha nang khaya majjaga, is ended. So the simile being, just as if there were a pool of water in a mountain glen, clear, limpid, and unsullied, where a mind with good eyesight, standing on the bank, could see shells, gravel, and pebbles, and also shoals of fish swimming about and resting. So he can see very clearly the clear waters and whatever is there under that. So this is the stage of asavkhaya jnana. Listening to the Buddha's sutta, the Buddha's discourse, Ajatasattu becomes an upasaka. And in this way, the Buddha, in so many ways, aneka paryayena, dhammo pakasita esaham, bhante bhagavantang saranam gacchami, dhammancha bhikkhu sangancha, upasakang mang bhagava, dharetu ajjatage, panupitam saranam gatam. So until death, I become an upasaka and I take refuge in the Buddha. So Ajatasattu says this to the Buddha. May the Blessed One, may the Buddha remember me as a lay follower who has gone to him for refuge from this day forward for life. And Ajatasattu then confesses to the Buddha his transgression of causing to kill his father, who was the righteous person and ruler, for the sake of sovereign rulership, so that he may restrain himself in future. He confesses to the Buddha. For it is a cause of growth in the Dhamma and discipline of the noble ones, when seeing a transgression as does, one makes amends in accordance with the Dhamma and exercises restraint in future. So the Buddha accepts Ajatasattu's confession for the cause of growth in Dhamma and the discipline of the noble ones. Then Ajatasattu, King Ajatasattu, taking leave from the Buddha, says, many are my duties, many responsibilities I have, and I need to leave. And then the Buddha says, you may do what you think is now time to do. And King Ajatasattu, delighting and rejoicing in the Buddha's words, rises from his seat, bows down, and circumambulating the Buddha, leaves. So not long after King Ajatasattu has left, the Blessed One then says to the monks, to the bhikkhus, the king is wounded, monks. Khatayang bhikkave raja. Upahatayang bhikkave raja. He is incapacitated. Had he not killed his father, that righteous man, that righteous king, the dustless, stainless Dhamma eye would have arisen to him as he sat in this very seat. So what is it, basically? In the Sumangala Vasini, Buddha Ghosh, that is the commentary to the Digha Nikaya, Buddha Ghosh talks about Anantaraya Karmani, the 5 crimes, that is matricide, killing arhat, drawing blood from the Buddha, creating a schism in the Buddhist community. So these 5 things, in Buddhist traditions, Ajatasattu is said to have killed his father, Bimbisara, at the instigation of the schismatic Buddhist monk Devdatta, thereby committing patricide, one of the 5 crimes of the immediate karmic result of descent into the hell in the next birth. Anantaya Karmani, the most serious crimes according to Indian Buddhist ethics. The Buddha to the bhikkhus says, if the king had not killed his father, he would have attained the stage of stream entry, so tapanna. While sitting here now, however, due to the association with the evil friend Devdatta, that is Sevanacha Balanang, hindrance arose in him. So this Dhamma eye, Dhamma Chakku, used at end of the Samaññaphala Sutta, referring to the religious insight of Ajatasattu, fails to attain during his visit to the Buddha, that he is not able to attain Dhamma Chakku. Even so, since he took refuge in the 3 jewels, Tiratna, Saran, having approached the Tathagata, the Buddha, therefore, because of the greatness of my teaching, Sasana Mahantataya, just as someone after killing another person could be freed from the punishment of murder or through paying a penalty of handful of flowers, just by giving a few flowers, you are released from that offense. In the same way, Ajatasattu will be released from hell. So Buddha Ghosh says that it is because he takes refuge in the 3 jewels, Buddha Dhamma Sangha, after approaching the Buddha, and through the greatness of the teaching of the Buddha, Sasana Mahantataya, that he will be released as a Pachek Buddha after he is born in hell and he goes through that life. So he will be born as a Pachek Buddha and attain Parinibbana. So the king Ajatasattu, what is the benefit the king Ajatasattu has gained from this sutta? He has gained great benefit. Since the time he killed his father, he did not get any proper sleep, either day or in the night. And that was the reason that in such a beautiful night, he was just keeping awake and with his ministers. However, after having approached the teacher from the time when he heard the sweet discourse, the invigorating discourse on the Dhamma, he got sleep after that. He paid great honor to the 3 jewels. 3 jewels, Buddha Dhamma Sangha. And there was no one equal to the king in possessing the faith of a worldly person. And in future, after becoming a Pachek Buddha, named Vidita Visesa, means one of renowned distinction. And I think it is also Vijitavi, as per the Burmese 6th council. Vijitavi is the person that he will be born as a Pachek Buddha and attain Parinibbana. So, the king, Ajatasattu, how he also gained further and how he worked on the path of Dhamma as a very, very person, as a person of great saddha, of great faith. The first Buddhist council, Pathama Sangiti, which took place soon after the Mahaparinibbana of the Buddha, was sponsored by King Ajatasattu at his capital, Rajagaha, in the Sattapanni caves. The Milenpaya. So we have seen that in Samaññaphala Sutta, the king has this question: what are the results of a monk life? And it is not just here that this question is coming. in the Pali Tipitaka, in the Pali Canon, we see in the Milinda Paya also, King Milinda has raised the same question to Nagasena, Bhante Nagasena. So Bhante Nagasena is also answering the same question to King Milinda's question. So if both lay life and monk life, people can attain arhanship, then what is the advantage of becoming a monk with a shaven head, dependent on alms, fulfilling 150 precepts, and adopting such hard practices? What is the use of heaping up hardship for yourself if bliss can be reached in comfort? Why should people live a life of hardship as a monk, of so much deprivation of luxury? Why? What is the need? So Bhante Nagasena says, it is true that you say that the one who is practicing rightly is best, whether he is a monk or a layman. That is what the Buddha says. That one who is practicing rightly is the best, whether upasak or a samana. Further, Bhante Nagasena says, if a monk thinking I am a monk does not practice rightly, then he is far from monkhood. How much more than a householder in a layman's clothes? It's so difficult for a householder to practice rightly in a layman's clothes with so many things in mind and activities. However, the benefit of being a monk is too great to measure. Bhante Nagasena says this to King Milinda. Being of few desires, he is easily contented. Santuti is very easy for the Bhante. He is aloof from society. Streenness, he is very much taking effort in the Buddha Sasana. Homeless, away from home. He fulfills the precepts. The Sila, completing the Sila. He is austere and skilled in the practice of shaking off defilements, all the passions, nivarana, shaking them off. And that is why a monk can quickly accomplish any task that he takes, just as a king, as your javelin, because it is so pointed and straight, can quickly reach its target. So this is the simile that Bhante Nagasena gives to King Milinda as to how a monk can accomplish a target in any task in such a short time. From the Milinda Paya, there are very many questions, and Bhante Nagasena has answered those questions in a direct way with reference from the Tipitaka. So these questions, like, what is the difference between a layman who has done wrong and a monk who has done wrong? Bhante Nagasena answers 10 qualities that distinguish monk of poor moral habit from a layman of poor moral habit. What are those 10 things that make a monk rise above, way ahead of a householder? He is full of reverence for the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. A monk is full of reverence for the Tisarana, the three great supreme jewels, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. He recites the scriptures and talks and asks about the meaning. The Gantha, scriptures means the Grantha here, Gantha Dura. So knows much about the teachings of the Buddha. That is what it means here. He has heard much. Dhamma Savana. Enters an assembly with dignity because he fears reproach. Guards himself in body and speech. Sets his mind on exertion all the time. Exerting in the sasana, in the path, on the path. He is in company with the monks. Pandita Anancha. Sevana. And he does any wrong. If he does any wrong, he is discreet. So very well known, okay, this is not to be done, and can take what are the measures that one can rectify of those small things. Further, Bhante Nagasena says 10 ways he purifies gifts of faith. So by wearing the robe of the Buddha, shaving head, bears the marks of sages, being in company with monks, having taken refuge in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, dwelling in a lonely place, quest for the wealth of Dhamma, preaching the excellent Dhamma, takes the Dhamma as his guiding light, regards the Buddha as supreme, observes the Uposatha, and recites the disciplinary rules, that is the Patimukha. For all these reasons, he is worthy of, even though he has fallen from virtue. Again, Milind Paiya, Bhante Naksen answers with reference from the Majjhima Nikaya and says that, gives a simile, that just as water, even if it is hot, it can extinguish fire, a monk of poor moral habit purifies the gift of benefactors. And the Tathagata in Majjhima Nikaya says, whoever is virtuous and gives to the unvirtuous a gift rightfully acquired, the mind well pleased, firmly believing in the rich fruit of karma, this is an offering purified by the giver. So King Milind again says, oh Bhante, this is wonderful. Though I ask you an ordinary question, you give me an extraordinary answer. Just as a skilled cook would take an ordinary piece of meat and make it a meal fit for the king. A monk following monk life is endowed with these 18 good qualities. Conduct is pure, practice fully accomplished, action, speech well guarded, thoughts pure, so on and so forth. Then there are 28 virtues of monk life. So these are the 28 virtues. On account of which the Buddhas have high regard for monks, a pure mode of livelihood. Fruit is blissful, they are blameless, bring no suffering to others, gives confidence, they don't oppress, bring growth in good qualities, prevents backsliding, they don't delude, they are a protection, fulfill one's desires, tame all beings. They teach all beings, Bhante teach it, all the human beings. Good for self-discipline, proper for recluse, independent, free, destroy desires, destroy hatred, destroy delusion, humbles pride, cuts off discursive thoughts, makes mind one-pointed, overcomes doubts, drives away sloth, banishes discontent, make them tolerant, incomparable, measure, lead to the destruction of all sufferings. So King Ajatasattu also, there's a transformation, like when he was entering the Ambavana and he sees everything is so silent around him and a fear arose in him. He felt as if Jivaka, which is place. So Jivaka says, please do not be afraid, O great king. You see the lights there? Even if there is silence here, you see the light there? We can proceed there. Please do not fear. I'm not going to give you to the enemies, Jivaka says. So this fear of death of King Ajatasattu, after hearing the Buddha's discourse, developing saddha, developing so much faith for the Buddha, is converted into saddha. So whatever he was not able to sleep at night and so restlessness, with saddha in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, he gains samadhi there. And in Milind Paiya, King Milinda said to Nagasena, after hearing from Nagasena about the virtues, about the monk life, he says, like a lion in a golden cage longs only for freedom, so do I long for the monk's life. So what is it basically? Which type of people which type of individuals are worthy of undertaking the monk life? These are the 10 qualities. A person who is of such nature towards the Buddha Dhamma Sangha is able to take a monk life. one who is full of confidence, saddha, full of shame, full of courage, void of hypocrisy, who is self-reliant, who is steadfast, who is desirous of training, strong, very introspective, and one who is of a loving disposition. So we see here that the foremost thing is the sila. That's the precious jewel of a monk life. So what is it? The virtue of Patimokha rules. There are 5 such things basically. Restraint of the sense faculties, Indriya Samvaru. Right livelihood, Sammaji. Reflection on the proper use of 4 requisites of alms, food, medicine, robes and lodgings. That's Patta Chivara Visajja Senasana. Then restrain according to the major Chura, Majjhima and Mahasila. So these are the jewels of a monk life. A monk leading a life consistent with monkhood, he is worthy of double honor, for he is loved by gods and men. Why by gods? Because there is no Bhante, no monk in the Devaloka. Monks, Bhikkhu Sangha can be seen only in the human world. It's only in the human world. That is the reason why even the gods seek the company or the place where a bhikkhu is there and looks forward to hearing Dhamma in order to gain merits. He quickly attains the 4 fruits, Arya Magga Phala, the 4 kinds of discrimination, Pati Sambheda Jnana, meaning Atha, Dhamma Nirutti Patibhana. That is, meaning, law, language, and intelligence or ready wit. And then the 3-fold vision, Tevijja, recollection of the past. We saw that. Pubbya Nivasanusati, then Dibba Chakhu, and Asavkhaya Jnana. And then the 6-fold. Again, the 6-fold, also we have seen Charbhinya, Jnana, like Iddhi, Dibba Chakhu, Dibba Sota, Pubbya Nivasanusati, and Asavkhaya Jnana, Chetaparicha Jnana also. So these are the 6. A bhikkhu is able to attain very quickly, very fast. So bhikkhu again is like a farmer, all the time taking efforts, just as a farmer plows and harrows the field, sows the seeds, irrigates and drains the field. So does a bhikkhu undertake the task of farmer in removing the 3 lobh, dosa, moha. And then the samana train, as per Anguttara Nikaya. An example of a young Vajji coming to the Buddha and saying that, Bhante, every half month, more than 150 training rules come up for recitation. I cannot train in them. So the Buddha says to the bhikkhu, can you undertake training in these 3 things? The training in the higher virtuous behavior, the sila, training in the higher mind, training in the higher wisdom. I can, Bhante. As you train in them, you will abandon lust, lobh, dosa, moha. And therefore, you will do nothing unwholesome or resort to anything bad. So the Pali scriptures, Pali texts mention so many ways of reaching the final goal of Nibbana. So many ways conducive to every kind of person. And therefore, we see the association of sila and the samana. Samanasya bhavati samano. Samana bhava is the result of a monk practice. Final liberation of Nibbana we can get by monk life and lay life, by practicing vipassana. So the Buddha's teachings are Dhamma and Vinaya, and they are for both the lay persons as well as for monk society. The lay person society is a society of a marriage life, and the monk society is a society of brahmacharya life. There are different rules and different regulations. With sila practice, we can go up. Sila vadhu. Seal is a kamma. Whatever we follow seal, we can get whatever we want. So, for example, Panatipata Veramani is a good action and therefore a sila. Likewise, we believe in kamma, we believe in sila. Samano, monk life, according to the Buddha, way of liberation for every person, whether it is a woman, man, lay person, monk, for every person. Monk life is like a akasa, a sky, infinite, vast, because they're free to do kusal kamma of sila, samadhi, paya, pavajita bhava, abhakaso. Lay life is a ghara avasa. Ghara means a house. Avasa, restrained only to a house. They go the narrow way, the difficult road. We feel that the household life is full of freedom and enjoyment, but it is not so. Sambadha, it is narrow and it is a small space. And it has a lot of dust, raj, lobha, dosa, and moha. So ghara, avasa, sambadha. For a lay lifestyle, it is difficult to follow samatha and vipassana. Duties of a monk life, samano, samma ajivika. Monk life is like akasa, we have seen, and therefore very open and wide, and big length of punya kamma can be done. Why become a monk? What is monk life for? It is to follow seal, vinaya, maintain purity of dhamma. So, the vinaya rules, the patimokha, are for every 15 days, every 15 or fortnightly. The patimokha rules are for preserving the vinaya dhamma. Second, to study pariyatti and also to following in life. And the second is to study pariyatti, the scriptures, gantadhura. If not study pariyatti, then the pariyatti will be lost, like it had been lost from India. If literature lost, then patipatti also lost. Even meditation, if pariyatti is not there, patipatti is not there. Samatha and vipassana. And doing duty, responsibility to Buddha Sasana. So dhura, major job is to preserve the text by learning and teaching. So monk life belongs to Ganthadhura and Vipassana Dhura. Ganthadhura is the text and Vipassana is the meditation. So text is all the Vinaya, the Sutta, and also the Abhidhamma. Finally, monk life is to know properly and completely also. Now, monk life in today's context. In Myanmar, monks and nuns, they have to teach. They have to teach a subject. And there is no salary for monk life and nun life. If monk takes salary, then it is like a das, a slave. And it is not a kusal kamma. And it is also considered to be very careless. Like lay people do business around the world. So dhamma is dhamma. And therefore one should not do so. Finally, monk life is real service for dhamma, not for people. So monks study only the Tipitaka. So they study the Tipitaka, but the service for the people here is to bring people closer to the dhamma. Like dhamma savana, teaching the dhamma, helping people for dhamma savana, dhamma sakacha. And if we look at the other countries like Thailand, Sri Lanka, there the monks as teachers they get salary, but this is not said to be, getting salary is not said to be a kusal kamma or a punya kamma, because lobh, dos, and moh comes in. No responsibility comes. So it is kind of whatever I write is to become famous around the world. So if one is not looking at the dhamma from this perspective, then it is a kusal kamma. Why dhamma was lost from the world? Because people do not know these things. That is why monk life belongs to Ganthadhura. And in the universities, because they know the dhamma, so they share the dhamma with the upasak and upasikas, and with the other people. Now, Mahayana monks and lay life today. Mahayana monks do service for people, like work in some place, because they are not recognized to support. They can do funding, like Japanese, Korean, Chinese, other monks. We are Mahayana monks. and they have rich families. They are rich and they have families too. They source by themselves and do not go to collect alms, just as the Theravada monks do. So the Theravada monks have to get alms. They have to go, and whatever is given, like 1 spoon, 2 spoon, they stay with that. So layman life, basically, we see is an enjoyment life. Whatever lay people want to eat, drink, use, they can do that. And they can, like, we can also say a very, very wide life from the materialistic point of view, from the point of luxury. But actually, from the point of punya karma, it is a very narrow life. And a very dangerous one also, filled with many dangers. So sila, again, in the Visuddhi Magga, means it is the head, sira. And the meaning of sila, virtue, is the meaning of cool, sitala. The characteristic, the lakhana of sila is coordinating bodily actions, a consistent bodily actions, and the foundation of profitable state. So sila is a foundation of meritorious activities. Kusala kamma, sila is the foundation. Function of sila is action, that is kitcha, action and achievement, sampatti. What action gives what? It's anavajjam, kusala, kammam, sukha vipaka lakhanam. So the sukh is the sampatti here. The sukh is the result of anavajjam kammam, anavajjam kusala kammam. Anavajjam is the blameless kamma. And so vice versa. And manifestation is kinds of purity stated as bodily purity, kaya suddhi, vachi suddhi, and mano suddhi. This is, or chitta suddhi, sorry. It is manifested, comes to be apprehended as a pure state. It is for the visuddhi, for the kaya, vachi, and chitta suddhi. That it is manifested. And the proximate cause is, it comes in two things, a pair, a conscience and shame. And they exist as virtue arises and persists. These conscience and shame, they arise. When conscience and shame are not there, then these virtues neither arise nor persist. And the benefits are a large fortune as a consequence of diligence, fair name in spread abroad, enters an assembly, whether of Khattiyas or Brahmins, he does so without fear, dies unconfused on the breakup of the body, after death reappears in a happy realm. These are the 5 benefits. And a bhikkhu, to a recollection of, that is sila nusati, he has respect for the training, for the dhamma, sikha. He lives in communion with his fellows, sedulcious in welcoming, devoid of fear of self-reproach, fear in slightest fault, fullness of faith, and much happiness and gladness. And he penetrates no higher. He is at least headed for happy destiny. And recollection of the Sangha, there are 9 qualities. A bhikkhu has knowledge to do Buddha Puja, Dhamma Puja, and Sangha Puja. Sangha Puja in the sense, in the Dakkhina Vibhanga Sutta, at the time of donating to the Buddha has stated that first and foremost, the more merits are donating to the Sangha. The Buddha says this to his mother, Mahapajapati Gautami. So it is when donating, the Sangha comes first and the Buddha second. The Bhikkhu Sangha at that time, 227 sila. Today, more than 9 crore silas are mentioned in the Visuddhi Magga. So the Bhikkhu are wearing a uniform of sila over their body. So after Sampada, all these silas are coming as installation in their life. And we see Pabajita, very Mangala. It is so Mangala to see a Pabajita. They speak new message, new Dhamma, and a new direction. Makes us feel very happy. Why to become a bhikkhu? Pabajito bhavo abho akaso, agharo, asambadho, arajupatho. So like a soldier needs uniform, a monk also has a uniform. Soldier has a weapon, gun and knife. Monk also has a weapon of sila. They try to damage lobh, dosa, moha with sila. Therefore, they can get magga. They practice like Arya. So even if the monks, they are Putujana in the beginning, they practice like Arya, and whatever Arhant come from, they come from the Putujana by the practice of Arya Magga. So the same way, they come by the same way. And when we see the recollection of Sanghanusati, the 9 qualities of the Sangha, Supatipanno, Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, Blessed One's disciple, they practiced well, Supatipanno, well practiced. Ujupatipanno, straightforwardly they practice. Inyaya Patipanno, who have practiced methodically in a proper way. Samichi Patipanno, who have practiced masterfully. Yadidam Chattari Purisa Yugani, Atta Purisa Puggala. 8, the Buddha's Sangha comprises of 8 persons of Puggala. We have seen that in the Abhidhamma class, those 8 Arya Puggala of Sotapatti Magga, Sotapatti Phala, Saptagami Magga, Sakdagami Phala, Anagami Magga, Anagami Phala, Arhanta Magga, Arhanta Phala. Those are the 8 Purisa Puggala. And Ahuneyo, Pahuneyo, Dakshineyo, Anjali Karniyo. These are again the 4 qualities. Ahuneyo. They are guests. They are special guests. Pahuneyo. You can welcome them. They are Pahune guests. You can welcome them. Dakshineyo. They are worthy of giving gifts. Anjali Karniyo. Of veneration, of joining hands and venerating them. Worthy of respect and honor. And Anuttarang Punyakhetang, incomparable field of merit for the world. So, as we see, in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the Buddha taught the 5 ascetics who are advanced on the spiritual path about the 8-fold path leading to realization of 4 Noble Truths. In the Mangal Sutta, the Buddha taught the beings of higher realms, Deva, Brahma, Mara, about moral and social constitution leading to welfare and ultimately to realization of Nibbana. In the Sigalovad Sutta, the Gihi Vinaya, rules for householder, how to live a peaceful life in the present by observing Sila, happy and peaceful life by doing Kusala Kamma in the present, and the ultimate good or supreme goal of Nibbana by developing the Noble Eightfold Path. Brahmajala Sutta, we have seen the Michhaditti, the wrong views. How many types? 62 types. About the past life, 18 types. Future life, 44 types. According to the Buddha, the suggestion is how to live a life and how should we go in the society. And most of us who are deluded by these 62 wrongs in the society about the philosophy, about teaching, about culture, about language, so the Buddha gives a message there. And therefore, in this sutta, the Buddha gives a message that how a person who is not even an upasaka gains faith by the similes that the Buddha gives of attaining the path and the results that one can obtain, the immense results of becoming a monk and leading a monk life. Here we also see in this sutta, na hi dhammo adhammo cha ubho samavipakino. That means dhamma and adhamma, they don't have the same vipak. They do not have the same result. Adhammo nirayam neti. Dhammo papeti sugati. So adhamma leads one to the niraya, the lowest realms, hell. And dhammo papeti sugati. Dhammo, when one follows, attains sugati. And thank you so much. A lot of metta. Thank you so much.
Sadhu, 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 Tai. Thank you very much for the great class today. We are very thankful for the class. I did wanted to check if we lost Bhante Kusala about 30 minutes back. So Bhante is not on the class right now. Maybe we are having difficulty connecting with him. So we will open up a forum for question and answer by then. We will just go there.
All right. Sure. We will do that.
Okay. Let me just see if there are any questions right now. Okay. I think you did cover this one in the I think you did cover this in the in your class, but people wanted to know a path to enter into Eightfold Noble Path. Can you comment a little more on that, Tai?
Yeah. About Eightfold Noble Path. How to
enter into, how to go.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So, Eightfold Noble Path begins with Samadhi, right? And the foundation of the Eightfold Noble Path is Sila. And that is why the Buddha is always talking about the Sila, explaining in detail. And therefore, the monastic order or the Vinaya that is there, which needs to be followed by the monks, is based on these virtues, the Sila. Following the Sila is the foundation. So if, like even in Milinpaya, there is a question to Nagasena, Bhante Nagasena, that is there a foundation of Nibbana? Is Nibbana established on any foundation? So Bhante Nagasena replies, like the Buddha says, that Nibbana is established on the foundation of Sila. Therefore, for gaining that Samadhi, the right views, the Sila help us to restrain ourselves, like the Indriya Samvaro. So if you see in the presentation also, how the Buddha has gradually, one by one, step by step, began with Panati Pata Veramani. That is a Sila, the common Sila, the Chura Sila, which even householders follow. Not even the monks. So that means it is the foundation from where we can begin. Panati Pata Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. So eliminating those. Then Adinnadana Veramani, eliminating low. So reducing these things. How do we do that basically in practice in our day-to-day lives? So like the monk life, they have to practice Sila very rigorously. And even a small offense or a transgression of a Sila is something that is covered up in the Pavarna. They have to confess, and then they have to take corrective measures to overcome that. And so this is in the Pavarna. So this is how it is helping the monks to abide by the Sila, strengthen themselves, and therefore move ahead on the path very quickly. But for us, like householders, for us it is again the same way, how well we follow the Sila in terms of the uposatha that we can practice. Like either we can do it the way we are comfortable with, from whichever position we are standing today. Like we see the King Ajatasattu, he is not even an upasaka. So he doesn't even know the Sila, the Chura Sila. So Buddha is actually taking him through right from there. So we can see for ourselves where we are standing. And likewise, from there, we can move ahead on the path. Is that okay?
Yes, right. Thank you very much. Your next question is, to become a monk, why one should have shame and courage?
Here we've not yet reached in the Chetasika part. There will be more discussion, but shame or shamefulness. Here, the shame means we have to understand what it means here. Shame is not shying away over here from any type of action. Here, shame means to shy away from unwholesome actions, akusala kamma, to refrain from activities which involve like body and speech. We have akusala kamma, like 3 actions of body, kaya kamma, ducharita kaya kamma, and 4 actions of speech, which are ducharita vachikamma, which are the same we speak about every day. So shamefulness is actually we know when we are following sila, is it possible that at all times we know very well that we are abiding by the kusal kamma? Is not possible because of the tendency of our mind, because of the tendency of we being human beings. And that is why the taming is required. The training of our mind is required to think in a way to have that sammaditthi. Because we looked at the 62 michhaditthis, we are also in those michhaditthis. When we want to move towards sammaditthi, like we have one of the slides there, like alobha, means it is by doing dana, and adosa, by doing metta, and amoha, by vipassana and samatha, practice meditation. So getting panya. And so these are the 3 core things, basically, that we want to shy away from, of lobha, dosa, moha. We want to shy away from. Unless we have that shamefulness towards doing such activities, how will we develop our intention to do the samadhi, the positive activities that are mentioned there, the activities of alobha, adosa, amoha. So it is that shame that we are talking about in over here as a virtue. It is called as hiri, is that shame. And courage. We as human beings know the way we are leading life as a householder, how difficult it is to stay away from the luxuries, the materialistic gains, the comfort of a householder's life. To move away from the householder's life to a life of a monk requires a lot of courage from that sense. The willingness to go that way, to refrain, to restrain, and to come out of the hindrances which we have created for ourselves. So that requires a lot of courage, because all these things are inbuilt in our system. So how do we have that courage to stop ourselves in behaving the same way we have done earlier towards lobha, dosa, moha? So now to change that pattern of our mind, we need to have a lot of courage. And therefore, shame and courage are mentioned as virtues to lead a monk life. Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, thank you very much, Sai, for those clarifications. One more question is related to, if we see a monk, there were a lot of qualities of monks that were discussed in here in today's class. If we don't see anybody following that, is it because there was a loss of Dhamma from the Buddha's time, or is it because the lack of practice as taught by Buddha? What are your thoughts on that?
Here, when we see that the virtues, or we can call them virtues, no problem, or kusal kamma, when we see that these kind of actions are not being followed, we would look at different stages of the period. Like during the Buddha's time, if we see that people are, some monks not following, the Buddha has given reasons in the sutta itself why they are not following the way they should, because relating their past activities, their past lives, what they have done in their past, and therefore the tendency of the mind is has so much energy of the past karma that they are inclined to do it that way, like the karma of akusala karma of King Ajatasattu, that he has done this karma in this life already, and that karma has energy, for that matter. Karma has energy, and it is that energy which moves us to the existence, to the next, to the future. It is basically calming of this energy that is the process. The seal is doing the process of calming of this energy. So if a person is done a kusala karma with much energy, like so manasa sahagatang jnana sampayutta sankharikang ekang, so it is that energy that the person is going to move ahead with. If a person has done an akusala karma with very much energy, so we have seen that there are 5 such serious akusala karma, which are parajika, for that matter. That means a bhikkhu is failed in those activities, if he does those activities. So similarly, in a household life also, if a person has committed these 5 serious kind of crimes, so that means that karma is carrying so much of that energy, which will lead the person in that direction. So these 5 activities which were mentioned, the Buddhas, hurting the Buddha, harming the Buddha, Arahanta, destroying the life of an Arahanta, or mother or father, and then creating a schism in the Sangha. These activities are like, because the Sangha is based on a communion, and creating a schism in the Sangha requires a lot of energy and a destructive energy. So because here they all are these blameless person, or for the benefit of people, and even if they are kind of, even a monk who is so harmless is been looked at as someone, as a person harmful to anyone, is such a michhaditti, such a strong michhaditti. So here again, when we look from this perspective of a karma, and the gati that the karma gives, gati, we will do more in the Viti chapter. So the karma gives us a gati. The karma energy is giving us the direction of a positive and a negative, whichever way we want to do. Restraining ourselves, schooling ourselves is from this karma would be the job of the sila, practice of sila, to restrain ourselves. So here we see the tendency of human being in life after life, that the human being goes to in the samsara, in the world, in the cycle of birth and death. The same kind of tendencies arise, and therefore if such a an action or activity is being done in the past, an akusal karma done in the past, it will arise even in this life. And therefore, whether the monk is leading a life of a monk or a householder, these actions will manifest themselves in terms of the result of their past karma. So here again, we can see that during the time of the Buddha, even though the Buddha had so much compassion for people, yes, their karma intensity did reduce or got less for a lesser period of time, like in the case of King Ajatasattu. But here we see that even the Buddha is not able to, or we ourselves have to work towards our karma. So Buddha doesn't say that he is the one who will liberate. He says he is the teacher and guide for you to liberate yourself. Therefore, everyone, each one of us have our own karma to deal with. And therefore, whether we are monks or whether we lead a life of household, the same kind of tendencies will come. Yes, if one is leading a life of a monk, that intensities would be reduced because of their practice, of their sincere practice. Therefore, even after that, a monk is still superior to a householder. We have seen those 10 points here, that how a monk is still superior to a householder, even if he falls from a virtue. And so it is for a householder to train oneself. It is not that being a householder that he cannot train himself in the virtue. It all depends how we want to do that, gradually, step by step. Yeah. So is that okay?
Yes, thank you very much. Your next question is, please explain Gantha Dhura. What does it mean?
Gantha Dhura. Gantha, like I said, is the term in Pali. Gantha is the word used for grantha, or the scriptures, the texts, which are the teachings. So the teachings are binding us there, right? The teachings are helping us to reach closer to the Dhamma. Therefore, grantha. And dhura. Dhura would mean a wise person, basically, who is skilled in that activity. So, grantha dhura would mean a person developed in the knowledge of the scriptures. So, like we said, in one of the slides, that a bhikkhu or a monk, he knows the scriptures, he knows the Dhamma, knows the scriptures, and also he looks out for the meaning of what it means in the scripture. He is also looking out for the artha. Generally, or basically, we can say the Patisambhida. Patisambhida is the knowledge, analytical knowledge, which the Buddha has taught of interpreting the scriptures. So what are those things? The Patisambhida consists of 4 parts. The first one is the artha, the meaning of the particular. It's actually analysis of a language, Patisambhida. So if some scripture is there, how do we interpret it in terms of the meaning as it is? Then artha dhamma. Then how can we analyze it from the theory of karma, vipak, and those kind of things? Is the dhamma behind that? What is the dhamma that is mentioned there? Artha dhamma, then nirutti. Nirutti is the language. What kind of language is it? Is it a language or words used in such and such period? So what does the meaning of that word mean? What does that word mean in that period? the language, the grammar, and so on. And then Patibhan. Patibhan would mean basically putting everything together. The Artha, Dhamma, Nirutti. What does in totality that particular thing mean? That particular sentence, scripture, what does it mean? So the samambonam, you can say samambonan in the sense, the essence, the total essence of the scripture, when everything is put together. And that means, it means the ready wit, when something is being questioned, how to see what is being asked out of that, and therefore looking at it from that point of view, what is to be addressed. So that ready wit, the intelligence to see what it is actually meaning there. So this is the complete Patibhana, or Pati Sambidha. It means Artha, Dhamma, Nirutti, Patibhan, these four things. So we can say that Granthadhura, the learners of the scriptures, like the Tipitakadhara. The Tipitakadhara means we have monks, great learners of the Tipitaka. From time to time, they have been preserving the Dhamma right from the time of the Buddha in terms of oral recitations or memorizing it. And with time, again, even today, we have Tipitakadhara in Burma. So, in fact, Bhante Kusala has introduced, to some of them. So, a few years back. So, Burma has a lot of such, or Myanmar has a lot of such wisdom even today. And we can say that we are just learners, beginners in this, and there is much to learn and know from neighboring countries, and Myanmar is the foremost, obviously, in the teachings of the Dhamma. So I can say that here. Is that okay?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Thai. So your next question is on the slide where you were talking about Ajatasattu's Bhaya turning into Saddha, and there were 3 other negative virtues which were turning into a positive thing. Can you please elaborate on that slide a little more?
Yeah. So what we are doing as householders and as Puthujana in our life is when learning Dhamma, we are, even Abhidhamma, when we are learning, it is more clearer from that perspective. How are we looking at our day-to-day activities or our perspective in our daily activities, and also how we interpret things. What are the notions that we have in our mind and how to look at that? So basically we have seen, giving an overview of all of these things, that there are 3 things mainly concerned about in the Tipitaka, the Buddha talking about, or even in Abhidhamma, we have these 3 things of Lobha, Dosa, Moha, the Akusala Kamma, or the Akusala Chitta, to be very specific in Abhidhamma. So all these 3 Akusala Chitta that we have been living with, and without even realizing that such an activity that I used to look at earlier was not in my perception an Akusala Chitta. But right now I see that even that activity is an Akusala Chitta. So when I start looking at So Manasa Sahagatang Dittigata Sampayutta Sankharikang Ekang, that is the first Akusala Chitta that we have. That is Adinnadana Chitta. Now we know that this is a Lobha Chitta. How to make it an Alobha Chitta? Alobha Chitta is Adinnadana is taking what is not to be taken. Then if such a mind or chitta arises in me, how should I look at it? I can think about it, oh, it is not mine. So it is not right, it is an akusala chitta. So what should I do? If I have certain things as my own and I give it away, is a chitta of dana. So this is countering the previous akusala chitta of adinna dana. So this is the counter action that we have right now to our previous view. So from michhaditti of lobha chitta is a michhaditti. From this lobha chitta, I'm going to a ditti of sammaditthi. That is of dana. So dana, sila, bhavana, all these, bhavana is meditation. So all of these are activities of sammaditthi, leading us towards sammaditthi. And earlier, there were many activities which we never thought about even giving a thought to those activities, which we know now are michhaditti. So lobha to alobha is michhaditti to sammaditthi. Then if we look at dosa, if we have some ill will towards someone and we say, no, this is my chitta of, yes, this is my chitta of lobha or dosa. And then I move towards, I should not do that. I should not have that kind of chitta. And we try to develop metta when we do meditation towards. So in the Visuddhi Magga is mentioned how to do metta even to vary to our enemies. So, so how we should have developing metta towards even those whom we do not like so much. So dosa chitta to adosa chitta would mean a mind of metta, of friendship. Even realizing that the other person is also a human being, because if he is a human being now in this birth, that means he has done such a good kusal karma to get this birth as a human being. Itself is so much worthwhile for us to develop a metta chitta towards that person. So here again, from a chitta of dosa, we are now developing a chitta of metta. We can also look at this from another perspective, like if we feel that a person is kind of harming us in terms of taking or something like that, or something displeasing to us, we can also look at it from the point of our own hindrances, the thin middha and udachakukacha, vichikitcha, so many others, vyapada, and so on. So we can look at it like, oh, I'm having this chitta because of my own hindrances, and I have to look at me, not to the other person. Even this helps us to develop a chitta of metta towards the other person. And there are so many ways already mentioned in the Visuddhi Magga to do that. And so this is about the dosa, and same ways about moha. So there are so many instances in our day-to-day life which will tell us that, yes, this is a chitta of ignorance that I have and I do not know. So instead of moving and interpreting things from others' point of view, it is better we rectify our own point of view, and therefore we help our own self to develop better on this way. So that is about moha. So moha, again, from moha to amoha or towards panya is can be done very fast with vipassana meditation, samatha and vipassana meditation. The panya basically is vipassana meditation. So this also helps us to move from a chitta of michhaditti, of moha michhaditti, to samadhitti of panya. So all these, the slide which was there basically is helping us to move towards the samadhitti, towards the existing michhaditti that we have. Of the 62 michhaditti already mentioned in the Brahmajala Sutta, we have those kind of michhadittis very well in our day-to-day lives. And therefore, the last one you see of bhaya, putting all these three things together, lobh, dosa, moha, the knowledge that we do not have about these three things creates fear in us. Because you see, when the monk, when he lives a life of virtues, is free from dangers, there is no fear. It means that we are, you can say, overfilled with such things that we need to be very cautious about, and therefore we feel dangers in our life. Otherwise, if we live a life of virtues, we are free from dangers. That is what it means. So putting all these three lobha, dosa, moha together is bhaya. Why King Ajatasattu had this bhaya was because he had done harm to his father, and therefore he thinks of his son doing harm to him. And therefore he has this fear of his own life. Because of his own karma, because of his unvirtuous karma, akusala karma, he is having this fear. But when he is approaching the Buddha and sees the calm over there, and he wishes that his son, Udayi Bhadra, also be there to see the calm, so that if his son sees this calm, his son may not harm him. That is what is going on in his mind at that time. So the Buddha, when Buddha is teaching all these things to King Ajatasattu, how the monk life is so purified, so panita, and so calm and cool and so harmless. So King Ajatasattu wishes the same for his son, Udayi Bhaya. And when he listens to the Buddha, in that process, his fear is going on reducing, because there is saddha arising in him towards the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. And this fear subsides, and therefore after which he was not able to sleep properly earlier. At night he used to keep awake, all his ministers awake, and just discuss with them, and because he was not able to sleep. But now, after this, he is able to sleep, is mentioned in the commentary by Buddha Gosa, in the Sumangala Vasini commentary of Digha Nikaya. So that is what is the transition from bhaya to saddha. Similarly, it's with the Milind Paya also. When King Milinda sees for the first time Bhante Nagasena, he is also filled with bhaya when he sees Bhante Nagasena. So it is a quality, udhacha, restlessness it is a quality which subsides or calms down because of the Buddha's Dhamma Savana. So that is what is the process. So from bhaya to saddha. So that is the transition. It is actually everything put together. Yeah. Is that okay, Pankaj?
Yes, Thai. Yeah. Thank you very much, Thai. Our next question is sort of curiosity based, but next, the second part to the question, we already might have answered it. I'm just gonna go ahead and ask that question today, because a lot of things are talked with respect to Bhantehood and the Bhikkhu life. So the question is like, are there any example of arhants or becoming arhant from a lay people during Buddha's period? And the second question is, are there examples? Okay. And the second question is the difference between Samyak Sambuddha, Pacceka Buddha, and Arhat.
Okay. So the first question, lay people becoming Arhanta. There are many instances, of which the very famous one is the Bahya Daruchirya. So he's a lay person, but he is living a life with his own way, like following certain things in life, kind of abstaining from certain things, his own kind of virtues that he has set up for himself. And he feels that since he is living with those meager resources, he feels that he is an arhant. So, but when he's so feeling, when he's so thinking, that is a devta again, telling him that you are not an arhant and you need to see the Buddha if you want to be an arhant. And therefore, he walks all the way to the Buddha and asks the Buddha, what is your teaching? Buddha is actually going on alms round at that time on the way. And when he asked the Buddha, please teach me. So the Buddha says, okay, I will teach you right now. I am on alms round. So he says, you also know that I do not have that. No, you also know that there is no time. So can you please teach me now? And the Buddha teaches him there. And the moment he gets the teaching, he goes aside and meditates. The moment he meditates, he is shot off by a bull on the roadside, and that's how he passes away. But the moment he passes away, he becomes an arhat. The same moment, he becomes an arhat, the moment he passes away. So that means there is no patisandhi chitta, there is no life after that. But he did not don the robe. He did not put on the chivara. So he was a layman, a puthujana, who at the last minute became a Buddha Upasaka, and then he passed away. So this is kind of one example where we can see that even lay persons became arhat during the Buddha's time. And there were many Sotapanna, Sagdagami, Anagami people at that time, lay people. Yeah, many of them. Yeah.
And then you want to take the difference between Samma Sambuddha, Pacceka Buddha, and Arhat.
Yeah. So that means we see from the literature and also from the Jataka, the previous lives of the Buddha, we see that there are many Buddhas even before that. Even before Siddhartha Gautama becoming a Samma Sambuddha, Gautama Buddha, even before Gautama Buddha, many Buddhas. So how does one become a Buddha? It is actually during the time of Dipankara Buddha that Sumedha, the Buddha, the Siddhartha Gautama Buddha, in that time, in that birth, he vowed. So it is kind of taking up a determination. So determination again by mind, by speech, and by action. So here is the first time that Siddhartha Gautama, or in that birth as a Sumedha in front of Dipankara Buddha, he vowed, took a determination by speech that I want to become a Samma Sambuddha like you. So this is by speech. And then from there on, it took almost 4 asankhya. Asankhya are countless, infinite periods of life. And then 4 asankhya and 1 lakh kappa. Kappa is again a huge period of time by itself. So 1 kappa would amount to 18 by 18 by 18 feet of a pitch which is dug, and then you fill in mustard seeds over there. So those many lives, each life contributing to 1 mustard seed, contributing to each life. I mean, referencing each life. So that ways is 1 kappa. So likewise, 4 asankhya and 1 lakh kappa, 100,000 kappa was the period that Samma Sambuddha took to become, or Siddhartha Gautama or Sumedha took to become a Buddha, a Samma Sambuddha. And what does a Samma Sambuddha mean? Is not taking up vipassana at that time, is not doing pahina at that time when taking up the vow, is rather building up the knowledge of the rounds of birth of life in samsara. And that knowledge are the paramita, rightful ways, the right ways of developing the knowledge, the good conduct in every life, but going towards perfection, attaining the perfection. And therefore, as in the final birth, as a Siddhartha, the 30 all paramitas contributing, 30 of them. So 10 paramitas, and then the upaparamitas, and so on. So for every activity, for every, like dana, like metta, like khanti. So these are the 10, I mean, there are 10 of them. So getting perfected in all of these 10 virtues, or these are all powerful actions, or powerful, you can say, good actions, knowledge about them, so that in the final birth as a Sammasambuddha, the Sabayu Jnana, the knowledge about all things, is known to the person, to the Buddha. And based on this knowledge is able to guide the world towards the right and wrong, kusal and akusala. So this is to teach Dhamma to the world is possible for a Sammasambuddha. For a Pachek Buddha, to teach the world is not possible, but they know the knowledge for themselves, the knowledge of the Four Noble Truths. The knowledge of the Four Noble Truths is discovered by the Sammasambuddha and also able to give it to the other person, so that the other person can also practice and experience the same kind of Nibbana. But for the Pachek Buddha, it is not possible to teach the other person the knowledge of Four Noble Truths. But for themselves, they are able to discover and realize it. The third is Arhanta. Arhanta learn from the Sammasambuddha. They are not able to discover by themselves, but they still gain that kind of perfection or knowledge for that matter, but not as much as Pachek Buddha and Sammasambuddha. So when they are taught, they are able to learn from the Sammasambuddha, and therefore Arhanta are usually the disciples of the Sammasambuddha. But Arhanta disciples are also able to teach what the Sammasambuddha has taught. And even if the Arhanta disciples or anyone else able to teach what the Buddha has taught the same way, the same language, even those people who are listening to the Dhamma are able to attain those stages or the wisdom through those Dhamma Savana. So this is again a very unique thing of the Dhamma, of the Buddha's Dhamma, that following the Dhamma or listening to the Dhamma from other person and through right attention, mindfulness, one is able to attain Samadhi. This is again in the Anguttara Nikaya. In this chapter 2, the Buddha says one can attain Samadhi through two things, two factors. One is by listening to the other person speak the Dhamma. And second is through own proper attention or proper attention to listening, or Yoniso Mansikara is the word. In Abhidhamma you will find that. Yoniso Mansikara is, and Anudesna is the following someone else say the Dhamma. So these are two factors of attaining Samadhi again. So that is how you can say that even the Arhanta or even the monks, Bhante, who teach us the scriptures, the Pali scriptures, what the Buddha said, is able to take us on the path of Samadhi. So we have three, Sammasambuddha, we have Pachek Buddha, and we have Arhant. Usually Pachek Buddha are not the teachers, and they live in the forest all by themselves, away from these household lives. So this is about the difference in the three, Sammasambuddha, Pachek Buddha, and Arhant. Is that okay?
Yes, I thank you very much. And I think we are running way late in the time today, but I would need your comments on this last question. Is it possible for a lay person to, because he's not able to be a bhikkhu, but he's trying to kind of live as virtuously as possible, trying to follow as many shila as he can. I mean, I need your thoughts. Is that a possibility that one can choose for? And the second thing is there a right time in life where one should go and become? Your thoughts, basically, what your commentary or anything on that one. Thank you.
So the first part of the question is to lead the can you repeat it?
A lay person is trying to live as much virtuously as possible, although he can't be a Bhante. He's sort of engaged with his daily activities, need to care for family. So your thoughts on that, and then what is the good time to become a Bhante in life? So
I think
if you can put some.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So there are two things again for a lay person to take up the life of leading the life of kind of a monk life, right, in a household. So restraining himself in his daily activities, trying to minimize the use of luxuries and so on and so forth. So the sila, we see, they are the major things, the chula sila, and also like lay people, they can take up pancha sila to begin with. That is the minimum that can be taken up. For anyone taking uposat would be 8 sila, atta sila. How well are we able to follow just the minimum pancha sila and 8 sila in our life? We see that it's so difficult for a householder to follow this. And we know from Bhante, being in association with Bhante, we know the kind of number of rules that are mentioned in the Vinaya Pitaka need to be followed strictly without any reason, that they need to follow all of these 227 sila. And moreover, there are more silas getting added every time with the passage of time. Like I said, in the Visuddhi Magga, 9 crore silas mentioned, looking at every small minor ones too. So how well are we ready to accept, to take up these sila in our day-to-day practice? That call can be taken by our own self, and also in association with monks, with those people who are actually living that life. So that is why in Buddha Dhamma, when one wants to take up a life of a monk, there are so many options available. There is nothing very hard and fast. One can also choose to do it by taking up for a small period of time and seeing for oneself whether I can really do it for a longer period of time. When one knows in the back of the mind that I have to do this only for a week, 1 week samanera, so there is willingness. But when one is actually going through, we know that when we go for meditation, it's only for 10 days. We are not going there for for a longer period of time. So we are a little bit prepared in our mind that yes, 10 days is a period that we can look forward to, okay, sometime it is going to end, right? But for a person willingly following the sila at home, it's different.
Okay, thank you very much, Sai. I think we have come to an end for the questions related to the class today. If there are any questions, any more things that you wanted to check with the teachers, I suggest you write to the email address dhamma.questionanswer@gmail.com and share your questions there. So with that, Sai, until we meet for the next week, I just wanted to thank you and Bhante Kusala for the course and today's session to you. Until we meet again, Namo Buddhaya.
Thank you. Namo Buddhaya. Sadhu.
Sadhu. Sadhu. Sadhu.